Here in Havana, we see that same talent in cuentapropistas, cooperatives, and old cars that still run. El cubano inventa del aire.
Very, very wealthy people become wealthier, while most people are becoming poorer. In fact, the top 1% of people on this planet now own more wealth than the bottom 99%. That to me is unacceptable, it is unsustainable, it is immoral, and together we have got to change that. And I have been enormously impressed by Pope Francis speaking out and his visionary views about creating a moral economy, an economy that works for all people, not just the people on top. And what he has said over and over again, we cannot allow the market just to do what the market does. That's not acceptable. We have got to ingrain moral principles into our economy. And there is no area where that is clearer than in the area of climate change. The greed of the fossil fuel industry is literally destroying our planet. The scientists are virtually unanimous. Climate change is real, and it is caused by human activity. It is already causing devastating problems all over this planet. And whether the fossil fuel industry likes it or not, we have got to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And what Pope Francis has told us over and over again is we have the wealth to do that. We have the technology to do that. We have the know-how to do that. But we have got to confront is the greed of people who are so much more concerned about their own billions than the future of the children and the future of our planet. So I am just so excited to be here, so proud to be here with other like-minded people who are trying to do our best to create a moral economy. Jeff Sachs, where's Jeff?
Right there, right here.
Jeff, come next to me. I want Jeff Sachs.
We can move back a little and keep them a little bit.
Jeff, why don't you say a few words? Excuse me.
I want to say how thrilled the participants are today at the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences to greet Senator Sanders and hear his very powerful remarks today. All day we've been discussing the enormous crisis of inequality of income, the injustice of the world economy, because we've been reflecting on Centesimus Annus, on its 25th anniversary, where Pope John Paul II warned us of these things. If greed and power is let out of moral control, we lose. Senator Sanders has been making this point again and again, every part of my country and around the world, and I can tell you, because I've been with the participants, how thrilled the many of the leaders of this church and many of the participants from around the world are to welcome Senator Sanders here.
Senator Sanders, did you have a chance?
Just a little bit about why this time away from the U.S. campaign trail is worthwhile for you and what you hope to see accomplished here.
Because I believe that the Pope has played a historical and incredible role in trying to create a new world economy and a new vision for the people of our planet. And what he is saying is that we cannot continue to go forward when so few have so much, and when greed is such a destructive force, not only in the United States, of course, but throughout this world. So I have long been a supporter of the economic vision of Pope Francis. His views on climate change have played a profound role. Let me tell you, I'm a member of the Senate Committee on the Environment. Pope Francis's encyclical has played a profound role in turning many people's minds around about the urgency of the moment in terms of dealing with climate change. So when I received this invitation, yeah, I know it's taking me away from the campaign trail for a day, but when I received this information, it was so moving to me that it was something that I could just simply not refuse to attend.
Do you think it'll help you with a Catholic vote in New York, though?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So a good few minutes.
That's good, all right. All right, hold on a second. I gotta get my game face on. Wait, have you written your book yet?
I have not written my book.
Okay, that's good. Don't write your book until you win another chance. I love this. You guys got the little goggles. The Secret Service cleared this? Are we sure this is not going to explode? Is he pouring the whole? Let's just be before.
Yes.
I don't want like a story about Steph missed the Oklahoma City game because he burned his hand.
Can we test it?
It's like his fingers melted together and his career is over. Oh man, can you imagine? I'd be like the most unpopular guy in the country. That's a wonderful volcano.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We did it. Thanks, guys.
It's an honor to be here. This is a historic week for diplomacy, and I want to just talk for a moment about maybe another kind of diplomacy, and that is people-to-people diplomacy. You know, we launched with your help 1 year ago. In that period of time, we've had Americans come from all 50 states in the country, and they've stayed with host here in Cuba. And we estimate now that 20% of all Americans that are staying in Cuba are staying in a home with a Cuba host. What they say is that they come here with 50 years of questions, and they have 3 days to ask them. But I think it's been an amazing experience and an unbelievable story. You know, we just got the word from the White House that a day ago we were going to be allowed to have not just Americans stay with Cuban hosts, but guests from all over the world. I mentioned this to a Cuban host, and she actually started crying. And she explained to me that this would allow her to finally be able to complete paying the bills for their family and fix up her home. I met another host last night, and she said, we open our doors, we open our hearts, and what we care most about is not just the money we make, but the friendships we make. And they used to say that they had a lot of misconceptions about Americans, and it's hard to have misconceptions about Americans when you actually host them in your homes. And the same thing's true with Americans, and I think people all over the world. I think there's hundreds of thousands of new friendships that are possible if we can bring people together.
That's great. I just want to brag on Brian just for 1 second. First of all, for those Cubans who are not familiar with Brian, you can see how young he is. The company that he started, Airbnb, basically started as an idea with his co-founder, who's also here. And how long ago did you guys start, Brian? 8 years. 8 years. And what's the valuation now? Don't be shy. How 25 billion with a B? Okay. So, but I use Brian as an example. He's one of our outstanding young entrepreneurs who had an idea and acted on it. And in this global economy, it can take off if it's a good idea and it's well executed. But I also think Brian's a good example of the power of the internet and why having an internet infrastructure is so important. Because essentially, Airbnb is using social media and the internet in order to create a buyer and a seller and a market that is safe for those buyers and sellers that didn't previously exist. I mean, it used to be if an American or a German or anybody wanted to come to Cuba, they could go to a hotel and that was it. Now, suddenly, there are thousands of potential sellers of a great experience here in Cuba, and they themselves become small business people, but it's only possible because somebody in Germany can look up online and see, okay, that's a house, that looks nice, there's a nice picture. There's been a good rating of the host, right? They've found out that when you get there, the room actually looks like the room on the internet. The person who's inviting somebody into their home, they can check, and they've seen that, okay, the person who's using this has a good credit rating, and if they've stayed at Airbnb before, they haven't completely torn up the house. And so it's a tool to build trust and allow this transaction to take place. But if you imagine what could be done with broader internet access and service here, Brian, I think, gives you a good example of the potential that could be unleashed. But it requires an infrastructure and an investment in order to make it work. Thank you for sharing your story, Brian.
Wee, gorgeous. What's that?
We went to the Coliseum and he got a gladiator.
Gladiator?
Lovely place. We had such a nice time.
Did you? Dylan?
Thank you.
You gotta be careful where you're walking around this store Coliseum.
Why?
This is one of the biggest, most beautiful buildings in the whole world. Okay? You see that nice statue over there? See that?
As we know, you stayed last night at the papal residence, so did you meet with Pope Francis?
We did. We had the opportunity to meet with him this morning. He is on his way to Greece now, but we did have the opportunity to chat with him.
Can you describe for me what that meeting was like? Was it a private meeting? What did you talk about?
Well, I don't want to go into all of the details, but he was apologetic that he was unable to come to the conference last night where we were originally going to meet because of complications regarding his trip to Greece. But I just conveyed to him my admiration for the extraordinary work that he is doing in raising some of the most important issues facing our planet and the billions of people on our planet, injecting the issue of the need for morality in a global economy where we have the top 1% now owning more wealth than the bottom 99%, where we are moving in a suicidal direction in terms of climate change. He has been upfront on that. His words are going well beyond the Catholic Church to, I think, the entire world's community, and that's just something extraordinary.
So what was it like to meet him in the flesh? What's he like personally?
He's a beautiful man. He really is. There's a radiance. I don't mean to overdo this. I'm not a Catholic, but he is a beautiful man, and there's a radiance that comes from him. It was a very wonderful moment.